Okay, so currently if we stop our server, then our background Go routines will not be able to complete in time. So let's perform graceful shutdown so that our background our Go routines can have time to finish sending the email. Okay, so that's straightforward enough. Luckily, Go provides us with a mechanism to control or to know when our Go routines are finished. And so that mechanism is called a wait group. And so in my application struct, I will simply add a wait group. Normally we use WG, and it's from the package sing that wait group. Okay. Now the good thing is once I create a wait group, it's good. It's ready to go. It's already initialized, so I do not need to go down and initialize it in the rest of the code. So if we go back here, yeah, I do not need to initialize it here, right? Once I create it up here, that's it, right? That's it. It's done. It's already initialized. So keep that in mind. Okay, and the notice we have to import the package sync. So sync. All right, so that's it. All we have to do now is to go back to our background helper function. So helper function, and here, whenever this function gets called, we need to ensure that we actually specify that we will be creating a Go routine. And so to do that, all I have to do is to come here. Okay. Notice I'm doing this outside of the Go routine. And so here I will simply increment the wait group. Okay. Counter. So I will simply say app.wg, and there is a function, a method called add, and I'm going to add the number 1. So what is that saying? Well, it's simply telling Go that I will be creating a Go routine and I want you to keep track of it for me. And so this 1 simply tells me that, okay, there's currently 1 Go routine. If I were to create another Go routine, then this would be 2. Okay, so every time you create a Go routine, you increment this counter that comes with WG. Okay, so all Go is doing is keeping track. How many Go routines do we have? How many? So this counter keeps going up, and every time a Go routine finishes, we want to subtract 1 to tell Go that, okay, that Go routine is done. All right, and that's easy to do. All we have to do is inside the actual Go routine, all right, is to simply say app.wg.done. And so whenever, and by the way, this is defer. We also want to make sure this happens. So whenever this Go routine exits, the last thing it will do, remember, defer means the last thing. The last thing it will do is to subtract 1. So it decrements the wait group counter by 1. And so when this finishes, we expect that the wait group counter will become 0. Right? So before we create the Go routine, we increment. And after we have completed the Go routine, we decrement. And so we're back to 0. Right? And we want to make sure it's always back to 0. 0 means there are no more Go routines. All right, good. So that's all we need to do. So all I have to do now is to go to my graceful shutdown code. If you recall, that's in server. Let go. And all I have to do now is to check to see if the counter is 0. Okay, and so I'm going to come down here, and I will not immediately shut down. So this would have sent the command to shut down immediately, but I won't do that. I have to actually wait for the Go routines to complete their job, for the counter to become 0. And so what I'm going to do instead is to simply say error is that. Okay, that's what I'm going to say. Good. And so I'm going to say if error not nil, then I'm going to write to the shutdown error. Okay. So again, I am not going to immediately call for the shutdown. Okay, I am not. All I'm going to do is to call it, okay, and then it returns an error which I will store. Now, if that error is nil, then I know I need to shut down the server, right? Something happened bad. But under normal circumstances, I won't. Okay, I won't. I have to wait for the Go routines to finish. And so all I'm going to do now, since I have invoked the shutdown, I know that I have to tell, or I have to log a message and simply say that, you know what, we have to wait. So I will log a message about the Go routines. Okay, so I'm going to say something like app dot logger dot print info, and this info will be something like completing background task. Okay, and then of course I will just have my map string to string. Then I will simply have ADDR followed by SIV.address. Okay. Okay. So that is straightforward. That's the message I'm going to display. So when we send to kill the server, then we will simply display completing background task. Okay. And what I want to do now is to actually wait. So I'm going to say app.wg.wait. So what does this wait do? Well, this wait actually waits for the counter to become 0. So once the counter becomes 0, that means there are no more background, there are no more Go routines that are doing any work. And so if that's the case, once it becomes 0, then it will move on to the next line of code. So it will pause right here. Okay, so even though I might have called shutdown, right, I will print the message waiting for background jobs task, and then I will just sit and wait. I'm going to wait, I'm going to wait, I'm going to wait for those Go routines to do their job. If they need to send the email, we'll wait for them to send the email. Now, once they have sent the email, then the counter will be to 0, right? Because it will be done. And once it hits done and the counter is 0, then Go knows that I'm good to go. So it will now stop waiting and it will execute the next line that comes after the wait. And so what can we put there? Well, we can simply write nil. Okay, and then we're done. All right, then we're done. Okay, so with that out of the way, then of course we will jump back and then the server will be shut down. All right, the server will be shut down. Okay, so that's the only change we need to make. So let's go ahead and test this out. All right. Okay. Start my server. Okay, started my server. Let's create a new body. So let's call this DARCU, Darku, Jones, and it's gonna be Darku. Okay, so Darku, not Darcy, Darku. Okay, good, that seems to work. So let's call curl, and let's not worry about timing. Let's remove timing. And so the body, of course, is body, the local host. And all I want to do now is to immediately, as the server starts, and I create a request to create a user, I want to send terminate. So pkill with the argument sigterm, and then it should be API. So I want to kill API. Okay. So I want to see what happens. So when I press enter, all right, I get 9. But more importantly, I want to see if the server actually terminated. It did. Let's investigate. We shut down. So it says shutting down server at 24. And after that, at 25, it says completing background task. So right here, it should be waiting. So it waited for another second until it sent the messages. All right. So it did wait. It did wait. All right. So that means our background routines or Go routines are being handled properly, and so the server is indeed having a graceful shutdown, waiting for all our background processes, aka our Go routines, to complete. And with that, we come to the end of this section. And so in the next section, we want to actually look at how we can verify the users that have signed up for a service. So we want to be able to have them verify their emails. Okay, and by doing that, we ensure that they're the ones who actually are signing up for our service instead of maybe a bot or some random person simply using a random email. So that's the next thing we want to work on, verifying the user emails. I'll see you in that next unit.